Hello and welcome again to Red Gaming Tech. My name is Notre. Today is still the 10th of November, and this time we have some rather interesting comments from the Assassin's Creed Unity developer. This actually came from the senior level artist Caroline Meuse, who of course is part of Ubisoft Montreal. Now this is regarding something rather interesting. Now obviously Ubisoft has tried to recreate Paris as much as possible, but there is one item, and it's probably even more than that, but there is at least one item, one very key item, that they couldn't replicate exactly. That is the Notre Dame. And apparently it's because the cathedral is protected by copyrights. Now Caroline actually said that one of the first things they did was, when setting out to recreate the landmark, was actually look into the legal issues of doing so, which seemed fairly reasonable. And she said on the UB blog, quotes, "There are certain things we're actually unable to directly recreate due to copyright issues. For example, when I look at the organ in the Notre Dame, I think it's a masterpiece. It's just so huge and beautiful and copyrighted. We couldn't reproduce it exactly, but we could still try to nail the feeling you get when you see it. We kept it very similar in general appearance, and it's only when you get close to it and really analyse it that you realise it's not the same exact organ that you would see in Notre Dame today." Now, apparently Caroline chose to take this as a bit of a positive, as it gave her a bit of a challenge. While basically she wanted to capture the feel of well-known features that are very famous, of course, but without replicating them exactly, and I can certainly see the appeal of the creative challenge there. Now apparently not all of the differences are down to purely copyright. Apparently some of them were actually to do with the fun factor of the gameplay. Now the in-game cathedral has a spire which is fairly similar to the one you can see today, but unfortunately there's not much information about the more modest wooden one that it would have existed back when the game was actually set. So Ubisoft chose to recreate the modern spire, even though this is technically inaccurate. And Caroline said, quote, "It was made with wood, and honestly it wasn't very sexy. I don't think the fans would have had much fun with it. Notre Dame is a kind of key point of the Paris skyline. You see it and you can recognise it immediately, and part of that is due to the massive spire. The two towers are recognisable too, but the spire is the tallest point of Notre Dame, and we didn't want players to miss out on the opportunity to climb it and see Paris from the very top." Now apparently they have been playing around with the interior as well, and added several layers of navigation. That basically means cables and incense on the second level to allow for freedom of movement above ground level. Now apparently, as a personal touch, Caroline decked the interior out with small touches of colour and precious metals to reflect her own personal taste. So it seems very much she took the copyright issue, which obviously is a problem. You know, obviously they would have loved to recreate exactly and give you that wow feeling of being there when you're not actually there, but since they couldn't, she took it as a creative challenge, and from the sounds of it has very much risen to it, and has not only managed to hopefully recreate the feeling of Notre Dame. We won't actually know until we play it, of course, but it sounds like she has, but also add some personal touches and creativity to it as well. It is a bit of a shame that it's protected by copyright, but I suppose it is such a landmark that we shouldn't really be that surprised. But still, I'm sure it would be awesome. Despite Ubisoft's PR issues in the last few months, I am still looking forward to a Unity. I love Assassin's Creed, and despite the fact that I have lost some faith in Ubisoft, quite a bit of it recently, they still make good games overall, so hopefully Unity can still be an example of that, as I do love me some Assassin's Creed. But that is me done for this video, and I'll see you next time.